The asteroids that orbit within our solar system. Most are not a threat. However, one just discovered by astronomers reached a chance of hitting Earth that they have never predicted before, at least for now. KLTV7's Alex Weister explains.
NASA projects that an asteroid has reached the highest chance of hitting Earth ever.
That percentage of a 3.1% chance was the highest out of any object that they've seen.
This asteroid was discovered in December, but is projected to hit in December of 2032. Despite being this far out for potential impact, watching it now is beneficial to all astronomers keeping an eye on it.
It allows astronomers and NASA and different organizations all around the world to get a better understanding of asteroids and their dynamics, as well as being on the lookout for potential bigger asteroids.
The current projected size of the asteroid is 130 to 300 feet, which has the potential to significantly damage an area in a 30-mile radius if it was to impact. However, there are similarities to an asteroid that did reach Earth but burned up over a decade ago.
The meteor in Chelyabinsk, Russia, that was seen as a fireball across the sky and exploded in the air. We think this would also have a similar impact based on its size and composition.
Despite no physical impact, there still would be damage done by this explosion.
There may be essentially a big pressure wave that expands from there. And so in Russia, when that happened, the biggest impact was glass that had shattered.
Hartwig says that many asteroids are quickly determined to not threaten Earth, something he's expecting with this asteroid.
As we learn more, that percentage is going to change, and the most likely outcome is it's going to decrease to 0% as we learn more about it.
Alex Weister, KLTV7 News.
Now, Hartwig tells us the likelihood of the asteroid hitting land is very low, with it being most likely to land in or over the Pacific Ocean.